Welcome to Left Back in the Changing Room.
Way.
Welcome, listeners. It is episode 3, Game Week 6, and we are back, Ricky Pellegrini.
We are indeed. Game Week 6. What a weekend of football, Jimmy. I was absolutely gobsmacked some of the results, and obviously we'll go into that. But yeah, what a weekend. Lots of goals, right?
Absolutely fantastic number of games, mate. It's just up and down, and you just can't predict it. This is why we love the Premier League. Absolutely blinding. Obviously, guys, it's me, Jimmy Ferguson here, a special guest who's on the line today. None other than it's Matty Lawless. Hello, Matt.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Hey, Matt. Thank you for joining.
No, pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Love the show. Big fan of it. I know it's only early days, but keeps me entertained, that's for sure.
And what do you prefer? Do you prefer Matt or Matthew?
Well, it depends. You know, if I'm in trouble, it's Matthew usually, but no, Matthew.
And just to clarify for our listeners, he's not just a journalist, he's actually the head of digital sport for Reach International, who produce the Mirror, the Express and the Daily Star. So guys, you're talking to someone who knows his stuff, and we are absolutely blessed to have you on the show today, Matt.
That's very kind, mate.
I've undersold you there, Matt. I'm very sorry, mate. I've got tellers over there to put me in the place.
That's what I'm here for, mate. Take us through the agenda.
Today, mate, we are going to be talking through what's going on in our league. So we'll go through how everyone's done. Matty Lawless, we have included him in our league with his Peaky Blinders team.
It should have been Peaky Blinders.
It should have been Peaky Blinders.
One thing is for sure, he's absolutely lighting up the Premier League this season, and fantasy football players are worshipping his prolific skills up front, that's for sure.
I was telling everyone last week's episode and the week before, look, hold out on Pookie because got West Ham, and he did draw a blank at West Ham, but then he goes and scores and an assist at Man City, which is a game we'll go into in a bit. Came out from nowhere. When I say came out from nowhere, obviously had a great Steve Championship last year, but who would have guessed it, right? Taking that level up to the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, and also what a lot of people forget is he was a free transfer for Norwich, so really great business for them, and fantastic to see him starting so well in the Premier League.
So we're looking at then the best performers of the weekend. We'll talk about the captains, who did well, who didn't. From there, we go for a question from the dugout. We've had a great question come in this week, so be sure to tune in for that. And then we focus and turn our attention to the upcoming game for next weekend. We'll have some top fantasy picks from Ricky Pellegrini, then also some of our top captain predictions for the weekend. And if we're lucky, Sean the John McGinn fanboy dialing in. We'll see how he's feeling. He's still feeling a bit sick after the Scotland spanking by I think it was Belgium 4-0. So United, that's where we usually start, isn't it, Ricky?
I've absolutely hammered you the last 2 weeks with United. United finally got a win and finally scored a penalty, mate. I was very surprised.
I mean, mate, you say finally. We've had 4 penalties this season and we've scored 2. That's a 50% ratio. I think 4 penalties in 5 games, that's a pretty good return, isn't it?
I don't know about that, Jimmy. I mean, I'm sure everyone was looking closely at that penalty. I must admit, I thought Leicester were going to nick that one, to be fair. Noted as a top 6 contender for the Premier League this season, and I really thought they were going to do one over on you guys this season. Harry Maguire, best player on the pitch.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate, I don't usually get it right, but last week I did call Manchester United Leicester. I actually called it would be 2-0, and I said Harry Maguire would get a brace. I got that bit wrong, but and I did say Rashford would be a player to look for.
You did indeed.
In Martial's absence, he stepped up and he struck that penalty fantastically well. That's us back into the top 4 where we belong, 2 points behind second. It's not looking too bad, is it, all of a sudden?
The pressure was really on Solskjaer going into that game. There's a lot of sort of dark clouds circling over Old Trafford, but that win really kind of gave Manchester United a lot of confidence that they can mount the top 4 challenge this season, and that really should be the bare requirement for Manchester United. You know, this is a club who've won the most amount of Premier League titles. You know, they should be striving for the Championship every year, but at the moment, you know, it's a work in progress, in transition, and you know, the penalties are interesting because Solskjaer was talking about this after the game, and he was saying that actually, you know, he's not surprised at all that they've won 4 penalties already this season, and he thinks they'll win more because of their attacking style. Obviously, with VAR as well, he reckons that United will get some spot kicks in their favour. So, yeah, I'd say, look, on paper, that was the toughest game they probably had for a while, and they've come through it. So, difficult one this weekend.
The Chelsea game, first weekend, eh?
Yeah, of course. You know, I think that was probably the best time to play Chelsea. Chelsea, don't forget, they couldn't buy anyone in the transfer window, and they were quite new under Frank Lampard. Looked like a completely different team now that he's had a good couple of months training with them, getting his philosophies across. But for Solskjaer, he really was under pressure. That win was massive, and I think also a few things are settling off the pitch now. They've got rid of a lot of players that they didn't want, and they've managed to keep hold of Pogba. Whether he'll stay there beyond next summer is a different question entirely, but they've just secured David De Gea down to a new long-term deal, $375,000 a week.
I'm interested to hear a couple of things you've said there, Matthew. I think, United being top 4 as a minimum requirement. First question I'd have for you there is, do you think that the way they are a top 4 team?
I think so. In the Premier League at the moment, I think the top 4 is there for the taking. You're looking at, say, for instance, clubs like West Ham, going into their game with Aston Villa, which they drew 0-0. They could have gone third. I know it's early days, very premature, but I just think it's so open. And we also, bring in teams like Everton's who lost at Bournemouth, but, managed to beat Wolves. And then you've got your Leicesters. You've got, there's lots of other teams that are there or thereabouts. And I think it's one of those seasons where we will see some upsets, like Norwich beating Manchester City. I think it's so open. That opens the prospect of different teams challenging for the top 4. In my opinion, it's a question of 5 teams. Obviously, the top 2, Liverpool, Man City. But then you've got United, Spurs and Chelsea. I think the way they're going, they've got some goal scorers there, particularly with Tammy Abraham. I'm sure you'll talk about him in a bit, but those are the 5 teams I'd expect to be pushing. I think Arsenal are too weak, they're too poor, very vulnerable at the back, and that's why they won't be a top 4 team. But Manchester United, certainly, they have to be in the top 4.
And it's an interesting one because last week I was touching on if Man United lost that game to Leicester, would Solskjaer be in trouble? There's only so much. Still Man United. He's still
going on about that one. You're a dog, mate. He's loved.
Sack him. No, I'm joking. No, I like Solskjaer a lot.
Manchester United fans have been spoiled over the years with trophies galore. There's only so long Solskjaer can hang on to that reputation of being a club legend. Manchester United fans demand success. The club demands success. So Solskjaer, I think internally there is patience. There's probably more pressure on Ed Woodward, if anybody. But at the same time, he's the coach and he's got to deliver performances for his team. So they've done that. 1-0 at Old Trafford, not the prettiest. Mourinho would have taken that result all day long, wouldn't he? But it's a great building platform for them. And the key challenge now is that they've got to take every game by. I know it's very cliche, but they desperately need to beat West Ham United. Otherwise, they just take 1 step forward and 2 steps back.
Yeah, very well said. One thing I want to cement there, people do idolise Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If you want to be a fan favourite, scoring in the Champions League final, a winning goal that wins it with seconds to go, you don't really get much better than that. And I think, when we lost to Palace, you know what? No one blamed Ole. And this is where I think it's different. People are looking at the players and saying, he's not good enough, he's not good enough. When we had Van Gaal or Mourinho, the first people they'd look at is the manager. Mourinho was expected to get the best from the team, and he would get the blame. And I as a fan, I don't blame Ole for any loss, anything at all. He can do no wrong, and he's got that benefit.
You love him.
That other managers don't have. Yeah, I mean, I do love him. Anyhow,
I see similarities with Chelsea, with Frank Lampard. Speaking to some Chelsea fans, they like what he's doing, and I think it's similar with Manchester United, where Lamps and Solskjaer are both trying to promote from within, trying to give young players a chance, and trying to play an expansive brand of attacking football. So fans do appreciate that, but there's only so long you can really sort of hold on to that, and that's why it's important now that Manchester United use this win over Leicester, a decent team, a team that, like I say, they should be challenging for the top 6, top 7 at least. And it's a good win for Manchester United, albeit 1-0. But now they've really got to push on, and they've got to beat West Ham starting this Sunday.
And in talking of pushing on, mate, I think we're going to have to as well. I think no one likes United. Let's leave it there.
They're all from Surrey, mate.
Our
that's
league
why.
this week. Ricky Pellegrini, how did you get on in our fantasy league?
To the early games of the Liverpool-Newcastle game, and I didn't see Salah getting involved in too many chances until towards the end, really. So I was a little bit worried. I was thinking everyone's gone for Sterling this weekend. Starting to sweat a little bit, shall I say, with picking Salah as a captain. But he came to fruition. Firmino came on because Origi got a knock and got taken off. So then Salah came on and obviously got his goal. So yeah, overall, in terms of my points, not too bad. I was a bit gutted about Abraham got an own goal as well as scoring the free. He unfortunately got deducted points for the own goal as well. So that he could have scored more. But overall, I'm pretty happy. I think my back line didn't do very well. De Bruyne obviously started on the the bench as well. But 54 points, as long as I'm scoring above average, then I'll take it, mate.
An average this week, 49 or 50. I'll take that. But I see you've slipped, mate. You're only 1,235 now in the US.
Oh, no.
You're outside the top 1,000, mate. What's going on?
I've got to be in that 1,000, mate.
Falling for his head. There's only so long that he can live on last season's performance.
A one-season wonder. We'll see. I'm sitting pretty at the top. It's only 5 game weeks in, so we'll see. Jimmy, I saw you were happy to do better than Mr. Captain Russ this weekend as well, just by a point, wasn't it?
Just a point, mate. Yeah, I mean, I've still not risen. Ricky Pellegrini, we've got you topping it. Creamer has risen. I said it last week. You're still up there. You've got a good 17-point advantage. We've got Andy in second. Andy, the sausage burner. Well,
sausage burner. Don't trust him at your barbecues.
He's a QPR lad. Don't invite him to your barbie. He'll burn your sausages. That's another story there, though. But we got Captain Russ. Captain Russ is up in third. Not bad. Matty, we got you coming in next, mate. So you've had a bit of a peaky blinder. You've had 49 this week.
Timo's helped me there a little bit.
Me.
I had a great start to the season. Played triple captain early doors.
Can you tell us about the schoolboy error we reported last week on the podcast, mate?
Yeah, well, Jamie Vardy turns out he's definitely retired for football. If we're talking about England's strike options, I think Tammy Abraham's certainly got to be in with a shout, although, considering Nigeria as well, so hopefully he picks England. Gareth Southgate picks his next squad in a couple of weeks' time. But, yeah, like Rick says, what an incredible performance. Quite remarkable, really, a hat-trick. And an own goal.
Yeah, 4 goals in one game, right? And he was the youngest player to score a hat-trick for Chelsea ever. Going to Molineux, not always the easiest place to go. And Wolves obviously were great last season. But look, I think the whole Europa League always seems to mess teams up, right?
That's true, but I mean, I still think it's too early in the season to blame the Europa League. I know they've had an early start and things like that, but I thought Chelsea played really well, and the variety to Abraham's goals was astonishing, really. He showed his class, not only on the floor, but also in the air. Great header, brilliant skill and technique as well. So I think Wolves have just got to consign that one to history. But they've not had a bad start to the season. They've drawn a few games. They was unlucky the other week. They lost 3-2 to Everton. They drew with Man United at home, drew with Burnley at home, who they should have beat. They drew away at Leicester. I don't think it's doom and gloom for them yet.
And our boy Mason Mount, one of our favourites on this podcast, we all want to Mount. Yeah, he did well as well. He looked excellent going forward, and obviously getting an assist and the goal as well. He was superb.
Blinding goal as well, mate. Yeah, it was the 90th minute, wasn't it? I'm going to pull us back into the agenda again, because the last thing that I haven't mentioned in our league is Sean, and all of our fans are listening. Sean, the John McGinn fanboy, they want to know how he's done, right? He was sitting in 8th at the beginning of this game week, and he's gone and had a blinder, isn't he? Another one. I said he usually averages 30 a week. He's gone on 59 this week. He's put me down into 8th, mate, and he's in 7th.
Done well. He had Mane and Mount in the middle of the park. John McGinn, obviously, he's a John McGinn fanboy. He got 3 points, obviously, with a draw. Got 1 point for the clean sheet, and then just 2 points for playing. I think one of their best players, apart from probably Jack Grealish today for Aston Villa. Yeah, McGinn was good. And obviously, he's got that strong front line. He's got Aguero, Vardy, Danny Ings. He loves Danny Ings, doesn't he? He won't let go of Danny Ings, but we'll keep him in.
I know we've spent a lot of time already going through a few games, but I think some brilliant games last weekend. Best performers of the week for you, if you'd say your best 2. I think you've said Tammy Abraham a few times. Start over with you, Mr. Pellegrini.
I think we've got to mention, obviously, Pukki again. He was amazing. Our boy Cantwell with the lovely perm got a goal as well, and was involved in everything that Norwich did going forward. And also Son for Spurs got a couple of goals.
And Matty?
Yeah, hard to disagree with those, really. I think Mane also had a decent week, didn't he? I think he got about 50 or so. Salah, of course, performance-wise, I thought Firmino was class.
That little flick of Firmino's, you could just watch it again and again if he didn't have a Liverpool shirt on, really, couldn't you?
Now we're looking at rotation, because we've obviously got Champions League games, and this was the first time we've seen it this season. Obviously, Firmino was started on the bench. De Bruyne, I was quite surprised the form that he's been in. He was rested for the upcoming Champions League game, came on in the second half. So this is really where it affects us fantasy Premier League managers out there, is start thinking about who's going to be rested and guessing who's going to be in the starting lineup week in, week out, because it's really detrimental to your points, right?
I'd say, look, it's a good point. And one thing that fantasy football managers should consider is the international break, because Firmino, he's never going to start in a million years after he's played for Brazil in midweek.
Yeah,
because this is the fact. He'll play on a Wednesday night. He won't get back to Liverpool's training ground till Friday afternoon. He'll do a recovery session. The manager won't risk him because, he could get an injury if he throws him in, unless they're absolutely desperate. So I would say, look, going forward, particularly because there's another international break coming up in a few weeks' time, I would definitely look who's in your team. Are they travelling far and away? Because if they are, you can bet your bottom dollar that the managers are not going to pick them.
Yeah, that's a great shout,
This
Matty.
is where the power of your bench comes in, though, as well, mate. You've got to make sure that you can't just rely on a good first 11. And if any manager out there is thinking, I'll sacrifice some poor players on the bench who perhaps don't even play just so I can get, a bit of money for the 11, that's a bad strategy. You've got to make sure your bench has got players that are